The member for Nedlands. She's on her feet and I'm interested to hear what she's got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Acting Speaker, because I would actually like to talk about one of the very impactful ways that the Perth parking levy is being used in my electorate and by over 100,000 people on a monthly basis, in actual fact, with the Purple Cat Bus, which the Minister and I saw off on its inaugural journey in 2021 with the member for Perth, John Carey, as well. So I do rise today to speak in support of the Perth Parking Management Act, which is to modernise an act that hasn't actually been updated since it was introduced 25 years ago. So I in fact thank the Minister for her leadership in updating and modernising an act that has, as I said, not been modernised since it was introduced a quarter of a century ago. The new provisions being introduced come in response, in fact, to extensive stakeholder feedback and have indeed been adapted in response to that feedback, including the City of Perth, obviously as a major stakeholder, and the Property Council of Western Australia as well. And what we'll see is that the changes will allow for greater flexibility in how the Perth parking levy is administered, providing a diversity of opportunities for the levy to be used to enliven the City of Perth, to make it an attractive place for people to work, to rest and to shop and to play, but also to make it a highly accessible place for people to engage in those activities as well. The changes will also support businesses in the CBD in two ways, one by cutting red tape and secondly by reducing ambiguities and uncertainties, which can create risk, of course, for development in the CBD as well. But I do want to start with the original purpose of the Act and the levy when they were introduced in 1999, and that was to help reduce congestion in the city by discouraging people from driving into the city centre. Because we know that congestion and the resulting competition for parking and the lack of affordability for parking, particularly at that time, can indeed discourage people from visiting the city. And of course, one of the strategies to discourage driving has been to build the infrastructure of public transport. And importantly, this has meant building and developing a public transport system for the CBD that is highly accessible, it's affordable and reliable, and takes people to key points in the city. The policy has seen a reduction of trips into the city by car. Now only 45% of trips into the CBD are being made by a car, or made in a car, compared to a previous high of 66% of all trips. And at the same time, the percentage of people using public transport to travel into the CBD has increased from 30 to 45%. So one of the fantastic ways that people are able to use public transport within the City of Perth and supported by the Perth parking levy is, of course, the Purple Cat Bus. The City of Perth is, of course, more than just the CBD as well. It also encompasses the UWA campus and the QE2 Medical Centre, as well as suburbs in my electorate, including Crawley and parts of Nedlands. And the Purple Cat Bus serves some key locations within those boundaries and in my electorate. The route of the Purple Cat Bus runs through the city, including to the Elizabeth Quay Busport, past Parliament House outside here, through the QE2 campus, where it joins some other 72 buses every hour, and onto the University of Western Australia. In fact, if you were to hop on the Purple Cat Bus and stay on it for its entire route, you'd get a wonderful tour of my electorate and some of its key highlights. Exactly. You're a very welcome member for Collie. And it is, and in fact, UWA students are one of the key users of the Purple Cat Bus. And one of the reasons that UWA students are indeed one of its key users is because the Purple Cat Bus actually does the entirety of the UWA campus. So most of the other buses that come to the UWA campus come just to the front of the campus, the main entrance there on Stirling Highway. And so staff and students, say at the business school, for example, or people who are taking children to the on-campus childcare centre, which is about 2/3 of the way back into the campus, campus can find themselves with a long walk. And for those with accessibility requirements, including people who are indeed wrangling young children, taking them to the childcare centre, this presents a very real challenge to using the UWA campus to its full potential. So the fact that the Purple Cat bus, as I said, does the entire circumference of the Crawley campus of UWA makes the campus much more accessible, and as I said, is one of the reasons that UWA students make such great use of the Purple Cat bus. The Purple Cat bus runs along Hampton Road, and so it crosses then the path of my office front door every 5 minutes, one on each side. And so I use the Purple Cat bus quite routinely. I use it to go to meetings at UWA, I use it to go to meetings at PCH, especially when the weather's bad. I use it to get here to Parliament House and to get into the city. So my Smart Rider now is pretty much woefully faded and out of date because, of course, the Purple Cat bus is a free service, which is one of the things that makes it so accessible to use and is, of course, one of the reasons for its popularity as well. And its popularity isn't just known by those of us, who watch the cat bus go by and see how full it is. It's shown in the numbers as well. So patronage on the Purple Cat bus has been monitored since the service was introduced using automated people counters. It's the same method as used for other Perth Cat services. So when the Perth Cat first started, just over 2 years ago, there were an average of 2,000 boardings per weekday, and just last month this climbed to 5,000 boardings per weekday. That's a lot of people. There were nearly 1 million boardings on the Purple Cat bus, 959,480 boardings on the Purple Cat bus in the 2022-2023 financial year. So that shows in 2 years just how well integrated the Purple Cat bus has become to the city of Perth and the people in my electorate, including those, as I said, who live in Nedlands and Crawley and access the hospital and the UWA campus. But this financial year already, and just last month, there were 124,628 boardings in August onto the Purple Cat bus, building on over 103,000 boardings in July. So I think it's really hard to say that the Perth parking levy isn't being used to good effect. Nearly 1 million people last year, I think, would have something different to say. But my observation as a passenger, and as I say, somebody who sits in their office and sees the Purple Cat bus go by every 5 minutes, is there a great variety of people who use the Cat bus for a great variety of reasons. Just like the member for Collie indicated, her daughter uses the Cat bus every day to get to the UWA campus. My son, despite living a 7-minute walk from UWA, goes to Curtin University, so he uses it to get to Elizabeth Quay Busport to then get on the train to make his way to uni. As I said, I, like many others, use it for work, to get to Parliament House and to other meetings at other sites in the city of Perth. My daughter and I have used it on weekends to get in and out of the city, where we like to go out for lunch and a little bit of shopping, and I always use it to get to and from the Perth Exhibition and Convention Centre and avoid the parking lottery that can occur there. One of the other major sites that where people use the Purple Cat bus is at the QE2 hospital site, and of course what makes the Cat bus so useful there is that it is free, it comes along every 10 minutes, so it's ideal for patients and visitors who are juggling, let's face it, many other concerns and deadlines, navigating the hospital system, their appointments and sites. So it's a really important public service that links people with healthcare and education. I also know that some of our local older residents use it to get around the neighbourhood, and in particular to the shops at Broadway Fair. And I will just note that as the Purple Cat bus traverses Purchase, Broadway Fair and Hampton Road, part of its route is already outside of the boundaries of the City of Perth because it actually runs along roads within the City of Nedlands. So as I said, this is a bus service that allows people to access healthcare, to access education, to attend to their activities of daily living like shopping, to access recreation along the riverfront, and of course to take people in and out of the city in their role as workers, residents, shoppers and diners. And so it's having borne witness and heard the feedback about this diverse range of users, and of course seeing the ever-climbing numbers of people who use the Purple Cat bus, and that people use it as well in a variety of their roles, that I've been talking to Subiaco locals about the potential for a cat bus for Subiaco. The City of Subiaco is of course an area adjacent to the City of Perth, and many of the residents in the City of Subiaco similarly use the City of Perth and the CBD for work and recreation. My team and I have door-knocked or phoned thousands of local residents in Subiaco and Shenton Park, local residents being of course the most important stakeholder when it comes to considering changes or additions to public transport systems, as they will ultimately be the users and the beneficiaries of any such service. And over 90% of the people that we've spoken to have given their enthusiastic support for a cat bus, indicating that they would use it and that they would use it to connect Subiaco with the City of Perth. And so there are some key reasons that people would like to see a cat bus for Subiaco. One is similarly to the Purple Cat bus for local residents, it's the ease of getting around the community for senior citizens. If anyone's familiar with the layout of Subiaco and its services, hospitality and retail, it's a series of fairly long strips including Rockaby Road, Nicholson Road and the Subiaco Square Centre that is adjacent to the train station. And so many of our senior citizens have told us that they would particularly like a cat bus that would enable them to better access these local shopping and retail opportunities and to get themselves around their community. Secondly, we have two major public high schools in the City of Subiaco, Perth Modern High School and Bob Hawke College, and as we've heard earlier this week from the Minister of Education, the Premier and I attended along with the Minister for Education for the opening of the second stage of Bob Hawke College, an inner city high school. That the opening of the second stage will see it be able to get to its capacity of 2,000 students. Perth Modern High School is of a similar size. That's a lot of young people to get in and out of a precinct at the beginning and the end of the day. And we know that many of those students and young people rely on public transport. They're currently limited to paid bus and train services, which is important because what we know is that many of those students, in particular Perth Modern students, cross the very, very busy Thomas Street in order to access the free yellow cat bus that leaves from the other side of Thomas Street to their school. So a cat bus for Subiaco would provide greater safety for those students, and the board of Perth Modern School have actually given their full support for the initiative of a cat bus for Subiaco. It's also worth pointing out that the local intake area for Bob Hawke College includes suburbs within the City of Perth, particularly West Perth and some areas of West Leederville. So any Subiaco cat bus would directly benefit the residents of the City of Perth, their families and young people, and keeping young people safe on our roads. But the primary reason, however, that the Subiaco residents that we've spoken to would like to see a local cat bus is to improve their connectivity to the CBD. Subiaco is actually, of course, already on the doorstep of the CBD, and so our Subi residents have told us that they would variously use it to get to their place of work in the city, to access hospitality venues, particularly after hours. And we've heard particularly from young people that being able to access the city after dark for hospitality by a cat bus was seen as a way of accessing the hospitality opportunities in Northbridge and the city in a safe and reliable and affordable way, and would encourage them to actually access the city for this reason as well. And of course, when the brand new ECU City campus is open, I think it's fairly safe to assume that residents in the city of Subiaco would also use a cat bus to access the ECU campus. And so again, just like the purple cat bus, we see people utilising the service in all their different roles, you know, workers, residents, shoppers, diners, theatre goers, patients and university students. And I will also note, you know, we've heard a little bit about the cost of living, the importance of an affordable bus service for Subiaco by acknowledging there is a significant presence of social housing, including high-density social housing in the city of Subiaco, and as I've said, many senior citizens, so affordability is something that's really important for them. People want to use the Subiaco cat bus. There's a lot of enthusiasm for it for those very pragmatic purposes, but also, people want to see more use of public transport for the environmental impact that it has. But of course, the Subiaco cat bus will also need a colour, and perhaps either the maroon or the gold of the Subiaco Lions Football Club. Maroon, yes. And without being asked, quite a few Subiaco residents have offered maroon as their preferred colour, the maroon cat. Although I've also had someone suggest that it is perhaps time for a rainbow cat bus as well. Ooh. So, just like the Rainbow Bridge, that's right. That's a really nice synergy member for Coburn. Thank you very much. Well, it was also pointed out to me, of course, that it's always Labor governments that progress the rights of LGBTQIA communities. So and public transport. So why not bring those really two progressive activities together and have a rainbow cat bus for Subiaco? So I look forward to the post picking that idea up. I will again emphasise that the state government have consulted and engaged with the key stakeholders, including both the Property Council and the City of Perth, who of course we imagine are committed to seeing the best for their own stakeholders and ensuring that the city continues to be and become a vibrant, safe and attractive place to work, to live, to spend money and to play, and providing other ways for people to access the city for those purposes is one such way that the levy could now be utilised. Acting Speaker, can I just seek a very short extension, please?
Extension granted.
Thank you. So the changes that would allow this include the ability for levy funds to be invested on a wider range of projects and initiatives that directly affect and benefit the CBD businesses and residents. This might include, for example, a rainbow or a maroon cat bus that brings neighbours in from the city of Subiaco, a city that itself is going to grow in significant numbers with the Subi East and the 1909 developments in the next few years. So we can assume that many of those residents will choose to live there because of its proximity to the city and more than likely their workplaces. And of course that brings a whole new neighbourhood into the CBD to again work, shop and play. So the amendments before us as well, and those suggestions connect to the ability to declare ancillary areas to ensure projects that expand beyond the Perth parking management area can be funded from the levy. And it's important to note, of course, that ancillary areas can only be in local governments that are contiguous to the Perth parking management area, such as the city of Subiaco, and only for projects that are primarily located within and to the benefit of CBD businesses and residents. So ancillary areas will be declared for projects like completing cycle paths, intersection upgrades and other projects that land just outside the Perth parking management area. And this has actually been drafted to be as restricted as possible. And like any other successful initiatives, will of course require and involve stakeholder consultation and consideration of the costs and benefits and how these are shared and spread across neighbouring areas and local government areas. So by allowing a wider range of projects to be funded, we can provide more amenities in the inner city, provide greater access to the CBD for CBD residents, but also for their neighbouring residents, further reducing car usage by inner city residents, and in this way both benefiting our environment, but of course the city itself, by making it a space that is both easier and safer and more affordable to access. And for those reasons, I commend the bill to the House. Thank you.